Touchdown, Chargers! Welcome to Chargers Daily. I'm Bobby. I'm back, and I'm in action. But I'm under the weather again because these kids, they bring home every single virus that exists. Salute to all parents who have kids because, man, your immune system is just rock solid because you get everything under the sun and develop immunity, and it sucks. But you know what doesn't suck? When you hit the subscribe button. Yes, smash the like button. And let's go with today's news. But before I do, I'm going to tell you what I witnessed last night, okay, before we get into it. Because I swear on every powder blue jersey ever stitched, I saw Walter White lose his mind in the freaking desert, okay? I'm driving home, minding my business, sipping a Gatorade like a responsible adult, when suddenly an RV, and I mean the RV, comes sprinting across the Mojave like it's late for parent-teacher conference. Not driving, not rolling, sprinting on legs like a caffeinated ostrich. And hanging out the window is Walter White, bald head glistening, sunglasses crooked, yelling at the sky like the Chargers just traded up for a freaking long snapper. The Bard is speaking to me, he was like. I'm like, listen, I'm standing there and I'm like, brother, the only thing speaking to you is dehydration. But he's not listening. He's pacing in circles, monologuing to a tumbleweed about quarterback footwork, and then, I kid you not, the RV explodes into confetti. Not fire, not smoke, confetti. Like a birthday cake hosted by a malfunctioning piñata, okay? And then, because the universe has a sense of humor, it starts raining blue Gatorade. Walter's slipping around in it like he's on a slip and slide, yelling, I am the one who scouts, while the tumbleweed nods and it agrees with him. And that's when I realized if Walter White is out here losing his mind over the Chargers draft board, then it's officially draft season. And then I woke up from that freaking dream, okay? Or nightmare, all right? But let's talk about football before this RV comes back for a round two, okay? Pick 22. I'm feeling 22. The chaos slot. Listen, the history of pick 22. Pick 22 is the draft's version of Back to the freaking Future, okay? Can we just have the almanac and find out who to pick already? From the article, the Chargers have seen this slot produce names like last year's Amari and Hampton, Kenyon Mitchell, Zay Flowers, all guys who turned into real contributors. Hampton especially, a 1,500-yard back at UNC with a bowling ball build and a please don't tackle me, I'm busy running through your soul play style. Pick 22 is where the league sometimes forgets to pay attention. And that's when the Chargers can steal someone who should have gotten 10 spots earlier. Listen, picking at 22 is like the Goonies finding One-Eyed Willie's treasure. Everyone else gave up, but you're still crawling through tunnels yelling, hey, you guys, we found a starter. Listen, if you nail it, it feels like cracking open a cold Modelo on a hot day. It's refreshing, it's satisfying, and suddenly you believe in destiny again. And speaking of destiny, let's flip over to a potential destiny at cornerback at 22. We're flipping to the defensive side because the Chargers might use that pick 22 to build a no-fly zone so tight even Southwest Airlines would file a complaint, okay? The no-fly zone blueprint, Colton Hood. Cornerback at 22, it makes some sense. Dante Jackson, Tarheeb Still, Cam Hart. It's a solid room, but this class is deep, and the Chargers could stash a future CB1. Let's break down Colton Hood. The guy is a sticky man coverage specialist. He's 6 foot. He's around 195 pounds. He's got a 4.4 speed, a 40-inch vert, strong PFF coverage grades. He allowed a low passer rating, and he mirrors routes like he's reading the receiver's diary. He does need to clean up tackling efforts because he's got particularly grabby hands, but the guy could turn into a star. Drafting Hood at 22 would be like stealing a country singer off Blake Shelton's team on The Voice. You're sitting there like, wait, how did we get this guy? once he's in the building, he's your freaking Rip Wheeler, okay? He's quietly burying opposing receivers in the dirt while never saying more than 6 freaking words, okay? His closing speed, it's straight out of Top Gun Maverick. He hits the gas, and suddenly he's flying past the receiver yelling, "Talk to me, Goose." Drafting him would feel like sipping a perfectly chilled Paloma. Smooth, crisp, and you immediately want another, okay? And speaking of wanting another, let's talk about something that's probably not too particularly popular in segment 3. What in the world, Isaiah? Okay, next up is the trenches. Not glamorous, not flashy, but absolutely freaking necessary. Like remembering to stretch before pretending you can still dunk a basketball. Oregon tackle Isaiah World, he's a depth piece. And that's not an insult, it's a compliment. Because depth is the difference between a playoff push and a season that collapses like a folding chair at a family barbecue. We saw it last year. This guy, he's 6'8", 318 pounds. He's got Stretch Armstrong long arms. He started at Nevada and then transferred to Oregon, and he tore his ACL in a playoff game, but he allowed just 1 sack on 400 snaps. His technique certainly needs refinement, but look, the guy likely could come in and be a swing tackle and put some decent depth behind Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. We saw what happens when injury plagues that spot. Drafting him, it's like Kevin McAllister setting booby traps. You don't notice the work until something goes wrong, and then suddenly you're very glad he's there. It's not a champagne pick. It's more like a solid whiskey ginger, reliable, steady, and it gets the job done. And unlike doing mind erasers out of a 32-ounce mug, this move won't leave you time traveling to unknown realms. Although sometimes that's fun, until the morning when you have to pay the physical rent on your body from those bad freaking decisions. I've done it, you've done it, don't lie about it. Okay, let's talk about trading down at 22, okay? We're gonna round out this show with potentially sliding back to stock up on picks, because the Chargers have only 5 picks. And it's like showing up at a potluck with 1 bag of chips, okay? The trade down gamut, more picks is more freaking power. Pick 22 is worth about 780 points on the draft chart, and that can turn into multiple picks if the Chargers want to slide back. AZ Sports trade down value, analysts have floated scenarios where the Chargers move back into the early second and pick up an extra day 2 piece of ammunition. And that's how you build depth fast, okay? Trading down is like the Breakfast Club, okay? Everyone brings something different to the table, and somehow it all freaking works. And if you hit on those extra picks, it tastes sweeter than a Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill at a high school bonfire, okay? If you miss, it hits harder than Old English on an empty stomach. And the whole strategy pairs nicely with a cold Pacifico because it's smooth, it's balanced, and it's built for long-term enjoyment, okay? But listen, Bolt family, the draft isn't about perfection. It's about stacking good decisions, one after another, quietly, consistently. You don't win the draft with 1 pick. You win it by refusing to panic when the board gets weird. You win it by trusting your identity. You win it by choosing players who fit what you're building, not what the internet is yelling about. So whether the Chargers stay at 22, trade down, grab a corner, add a tackle, or stash a depth piece, the goal is the same. Build a roster that can survive the long season, the tough stretches, the injuries, the chaos. Stack good decisions, stack good reps, stack good players. And when the dust settles, when the RV stops exploding and the blue Gatorade finally dries, you look back and you realize that you built something real. Harbaugh's building something real. I'm Fun Bobby. This is Chargers Daily. Hydrate. Trust the board. And for the love of powder blue, no more 32-ounce mind erasers during day 2 of the draft. I'll see you tomorrow on Chargers Daily.